Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my combined April and May wrap up. So let's get into it. So in April I read 3 books, which is not usually normal for me, but the spring months are usually very busy, so I would say this was like a good reading month for me. First book I read in April was Rebel Witch, and this one I actually bought the hardcover, which I'm really happy about, but basically this is the final book in the Crimson Moth duology, and you're following Rune and Gideon again, and basically the first one left off on a cliffhanger, and so in this one you're kind of just like continuing the story, and there's more like forced proximity, I guess, because they're both trying to, just like the first one, very high stakes fantasy. They're like forced to pair up together because Cressida, who, alert, like skip this if you haven't read Heartless Hunter, but Cressida, who is like the evil witch queen, they both really don't like her, but Rune is kind of forced to ally herself with her, but they're in this situation where they're just trying to get rid of her. So yeah, this book was very good. It's my first 5-star of the year, and I'll read my review. So I said, so good, the ending was so creative. This book was highly anticipated and it did not disappoint. The one thing I wish we had gotten more of, though, was Rune and Gideon, like 10 years in the future with the kids and what the world is like then. But besides that, my favorite book I've read this year so far. So yeah, definitely would recommend this whole series. I honestly wish, a lot of people say they're like glad this just ended at a 2-book series and not like went on to be 5 books or something, but I wish we had like a little novella at the end, but this is definitely one of my favorite series. The next book I read in April was Summer Romance, and this is basically about a professional organizer named Allie, and she basically is in a grief period because she just lost her mom. She's also divorced and is a single mother. And she basically meets Ethan, who is a bit younger, but it's like the title says, it's like a summer romance, so she just wants to like experience new things and not be so uptight, but I feel like the writing goes much deeper than that, and I actually really enjoyed this one. It's like perfect to read in the summer, springtime. In my review, I said, brimming with metaphors for the seemingly mundane moments in life, but they turn out to be the most important. I feel like if I read this in a different time in my life, I would relate to it more, / it would be a 5-star, but since I'm not moving towards any of the stuff that she is, like being a mom, like having a home, kids, I don't think it spoke to me as much as it probably would have if I was older. Needless to say, this book was filled with beautiful quotes and was the definition of a beautiful summer lived. Here are some quotes that I loved. Let me just bring this down a little bit. Okay. You get a dog and you know 2 things. You're going to fall in love with it and it's going to die one day. You knowingly walk headfirst into a heartbreak. That's the basic madness of dog ownership. And I really like that quote because, well, I don't have a dog, but I feel like that's basically the point of it. Another one, love is not if you clean up, I'll help you through your grief. I'm not sure what love is, but I think it's something different from that. Life's going to do what life's going to do, Alice. You might as well have a dog. And spring is always coming, and I know for sure that I will always have a dog, which is really sweet. The dog is like part in kind of like a metaphor for the whole story, like not to be afraid to fall too deep into something just it might leave you or you know it's going to die, but to just enjoy the experience. And I think that's also why it's called a summer romance, because she thought it was just going to be like a one-time thing, but then she actually wants to keep going. So, and I gave that 4 stars. Next book I read in April was called Nick and Charlie, which is a part of the Heartstopper series, which is a bunch of like graphic novels about these 2 boys in England, and they're both gay, so you're just kind of following them along. And this one is actually a novella, so it's much shorter, but I think it's after the whole series. Yeah. It's 3 stars, and I said really cute, more descriptive, since it was words instead of graphics, but had much more, oh yeah, that's right, it wasn't a graphic novel, it was just like a regular book, but had much more depth and real life relationship stuff that feels like more realistic. Now moving on to the books that I read in May. I only read 2 books in May. April and May were not, like, quantity wise very like filled to the brim with a lot of books that I usually read. Like usually I read like 5 books a month, but quality wise I would say I had like pretty high rated books. I just didn't get to a lot of them. I just didn't get to reading a lot of other books. So the first book I read in May was called First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. And this is about Lucy and Aiden, and Lucy is a single mom, and one day her daughter, who's like really young, she's like maybe 9 or 10 I think, she calls into this like famous like Baltimore romance hotline, and Aiden, who is like the host of that hotline, like answers, and basically the daughter like is trying to get her mom like romance advice, and basically just the story goes from there. And so their like interview goes viral, so she ends up actually co-hosting with Aiden on the radio hotline. So I gave First Time Caller 3 stars, and I said I love this cover because the cover's really cute. The plot was really cute. Definitely could see this being turned into a movie adaptation. It just gives those vibes, and I usually hate when books get turned into a movie or show, but this I could see. Overall, I liked how her kid's father was still present, and they still were best friends even though he's gay, which I feel like you don't see in a single parent trope. I wasn't too invested in the romance, but it was a cute read. So the last book I read in May was Summer in the City, and this follows Elle, who is a screenwriter, and she's originally from LA, but she's moving to New York City for the summer because she's house sitting like her sister's apartment, and she meets this like billionaire CEO who she actually met a few years back, but they had like she did not like him. They had a bad interaction, and they meet again. They're actually living on the same floor, and they have like this agreement where he shows her around the city to help like inspire her movie and screenwriting, and then he needs like a fake girlfriend to like for the press or something. But yeah, I gave this also 3 stars. Said I feel like these contemporary romance books just get reused. There's always some sort of bucket list. The male main character has endless money. He proposes after only knowing her for 3 months. And I would just like to read something different. Not to say her writing was bad, it was actually really good, descriptive and fast-paced. I just feel like this trope is so overdone. So those were all the books that I read in April and May. And altogether I read 5 books, which I said I usually read 5 books like in a month or more. It was just very busy in like different circumstances in the spring and summer months, which I feel like is for a lot of people. But let me know if you got any good recommendations out of this video, if you read any books, and yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.